statistics are actually that only 10% of stalking victims are stalked by a stranger. And that comes from the Bureau of Justice statistics. That's a little bit scary if you think about it, because who is stalking you? It's a very malice, the collab stalker. So we're going to have a few people in the queue ahead of time. Have we seen Patrick yet? I know he was going to be eating dinner, so it might be a little bit late, which is okay. So next up, we do have a speaker tonight. And this story is heartbreaking. Savagely Profane, are you ready? Are you ready to speak? He's going to give us an experience, and this is an example of crossover stalking and bullying. Okay, so let's bring him up. Get your tissues ready, you guys.
How y'all doing? This was an idea that I had yesterday about this event. First, I want to say thank you for having me. Usually I'm singing, but this is about cyber stalking and cyberbullying, which I'm sure all of us know that we've all either been in a situation directly with that, or you know someone who has. In this case, if you don't, I'm going to tell you a story that my life will never be the same. But on June 12, 2022, as I laid in my bed early, asleep, someone beeped on my door. I could hear someone screaming. So I jumped up and I opened the door, and it was my neighbor. She was completely ecstatic, foaming out the mouth, screaming. I could not understand the words she was saying. And she just kept pointing to her home. And I was like, what is going on? And the only thing that I could get out of her was what I thought she was saying, which was, go help her, she's bleeding. And I said, who? And I said, who? And of course, I had to hold her. I had to walk off my porch. I had to grab her, and she couldn't sit. She wouldn't stand still. She was just completely, she lost her mind. And still, I was under the impression, what the and then those words, I asked her again. I said, what is wrong? Just calm down and tell me. And she said, go help her. She's hanging in her closet. And I immediately ran across a 40-yard field, I guess, a yard. And I stormed through her door to the left, through the kitchen, and her grandchildren lived, they had their rooms on the left side of this trailer. And I went into the room with the door open, and there was an 11-year-old hanging from her neck in her closet. I don't even remember what I did at that moment. I just screamed, and I went in there and I took her down. So it was around 7:42 a.m. And after the GBI came and did their assessment, they gave her a time of death around 12:15 a.m. So can you imagine that 6 hours or so, 7 hours, hanging from your neck in a closet? Now I'm gonna just piece through that part. That was the hardest thing in my life to see. And it's hard to even say imagine that, because so the call went out, and one deputy, just one, came, and I was completely a mess by the end. It had been about 17 minutes, give or take, and this cop just pulls up. No lights, like he's just stopping by to say hey. And I immediately went after him and said, where's the police? Long story short, to come to find out, in that county, when that call goes over the radio, it is the responsibility of one officer. You can't send a whole group of police on duty to a call like that, because 99% of them have children. And whatever those numbers were, to say we've got everybody can hear that who's on duty. And they did hear it, but they can't go because they're wearing a gun and driving a police car, and that could affect their work. So I can understand that, but at the time I didn't. So they hogtied me and put me in the back seat, threatened to charge me with assaulting a police officer, and I said, I'm just here to help. That was the worst day ever. I'm so heartbroken. This is Carly Nicole Beard. If you look this up on the internet, you will not find anything about her other than she passed away on June the 12th, 2022, and that is just out of respect for people as well as the family. The GBI came and did an investigation. 4 hours later, they left, and 2 months later, in September, they finally contacted her grandmother. Now let me remind you, she was 11 years old 1 month shy of her birthday, turning 12, and she had a sister who was her twin. And to this day, she has problems with her neck. I don't know if that's just coincidental or what, but that's what they say. Some twins can feel each other's pain. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded that once they opened up her tablets, her laptop, her PC, and her cell phone, they found messages from Discord, which you all know. If you don't, it's a gaming app where, I've never been on it. I've never even searched it. But apparently it's a streaming app, and a lot of gamers, a lot of kids use that for gaming, which both of those girls were Tom girls, and they were gamers. But I'm going to tell you now, no matter how old, how middle-aged, how young, you have no idea what your children are doing